Listen, I went and typed up half the script for this video just to get corrected in my own Discord server. Someone said, "Don't get miasma confused with Lyma." Now, if you're new to Hellenism, you're probably wondering what miasma and Lyma are. If you're not new to Hellenism, you're probably still wondering what the heck Lyma is, because for some unholy reason, you cannot find any resources that talk about Lyma. Luckily, I found some, just for you guys. Let's go back to what the heck I'm even talking about. In Hellenism, there's this thing called Themis. Themis is actually the name of the Titan goddess of divine justice. She is the personification of the law of the gods, the way things should be run. She is said to be the divine voice who first instructed mankind of morality and laws. Most importantly, she is the personification of the natural law. She is often depicted to work alongside Nemesis, the goddess of vengeance, but never side by side. Where natural law was upheld, Themis would be there, and as darkness is the absence of light, Nemesis would be there at the absence of Themis. Wherever the natural law was broken, Nemesis herself, or her daughters, the Furies, would be there to punish whoever disturbed this natural law. Now that you're up to speed on what this natural law means, we have come to what happens when you disturb this natural law. It is a common belief that miasma is the spiritual dirt or aura of ick that surrounds us as mortals when we commit acts that disturb the natural law. It is common belief that when one is to come in contact with the gods in a ritual or prayer, they should cleanse themselves of miasma beforehand. It is believed that things such as childbirth, menstruation, consumption of pork, consumption of fish, natural death, exposure to blood, dirt, urine, feces, sexual fluids, or any kind of sickness would count as a transgression against the natural law and would generate miasma that you would need to cleanse yourself of before presenting to the gods. Every last one of those beliefs is false. Well, it's not what you think it is. You see, miasma is often said to be a byproduct of simply being human and doing human things. If you actually look at the ancient texts after doing a bit of translating and a lot of searching, the fact is that the word miasma does not show up a singular time when talking about spiritual dirt. Instead, the word dirt itself is used, translated to Lyma. This Lyma is what is described as spiritual dirt, not miasma. Miasma is slightly similar, but still describes a different thing entirely. So, without further misconception, Lyma is caused by coming into contact with blood, urine, sexual fluids, any type of sickness, and dirt. It is also caused by menstruation, witchcraft, sex, childbirth, excessive negative emotions, lack of contact with the gods, consumption of pork and fish, and coming into contact with anything associated with the underworld. So, chthonic deities and the deceased. Lyma is simply a byproduct of being human. It holds no judgment from the gods, but out of respect, we still cleanse ourselves before presenting ourselves to them. Miasma, on the other hand, holds a very probable cause for judgment from mortal and god alike, in most circumstances. Miasma, in complete contrast to the harmless causes of Lyma, is caused by murder of an animal, abandonment of a person leading to said person's death, eating human flesh, incest, whether you are just wanting to do it or acting on it, adultery, committing crimes against a priest or priestess, engagement in hubris, stealing offerings from temples, and death in a sacred space. Oh, and non-consensual sex will generate miasma for both parties involved. The main difference between miasma and Lyma is that Lyma describes spiritual pollution that you acquire from being human. It's our link to mortality and cannot be avoided. Miasma, on the other hand, describes a breach of the natural law and is based in moral decisions that can be avoided. This is only not true when you consider that some sources say that death and birth are miasmic, and those sources will also say that being disabled is miasmic, so I tend to lean away from them. For simplicity and modernity, I will go with Miasma being morality based, and Lyma being based in mortality. This also aligns with Themis's natural law and would explain Nemesis' punishment that was given out to those who broke it. Now that we know the difference between Lyma and Miasma, as well as the fact that cleansing Lyma is a courtesy and cleansing Miasma is a must, let's figure out how to get rid of both. Starting off with the less serious of the two, let's get rid of as much Lyma as possible. We can never completely be free of it because we are not divine, but we can do our part in minimizing it before presenting to the gods. In Homer's Iliad it says this, "With unwashed hands I would take shame to pour the glittering wine to Zeus. There is no means for a man to pray to the dark-misted son of Cronus with blood and muck all splattered upon him." This tells us that cleansing was at least partially hygiene related. This means that taking a shower or even just washing your hands and face is the easiest way to get rid of some Lyma on your being. However, in order to get rid of a lot of Lyma at once, you'll need to create and use kernips. In short, it's holy water that you're going to use to wash your hands and your face. To make kernips, you're going to use fire and water, the two elements most commonly used for purification in general. First, get a bowl of water. The water is supposed to be water from a river or the sea, but that may be understandably difficult for many of you, so just get some tap water and mix some salt into it. Next, you're going to take some herbs, a match, incense, a twig, or a leaf and light it on fire above the water. Then you drop it in and say "Zerniptosai," which translates to "be purified." Lastly, wash your hands and face in the water while saying "Kerniptomai," which translates to "I wash with lustral water." Additionally, you can sprinkle the kernips on an altar, a sacred space, an object, or even another person in order to cleanse them. While doing so, you should either say "Apo pantos kakodaimones" or "Hekas hekas este bibloi," which mean "away every evil spirit" and "be gone, you profane," respectively. If you are cleansing an item, it is better to, as I said, sprinkle it with the kernips as opposed to dunking it in the water. An alternative to kernips is using incense to cleanse a whole area at a time. Most popularly, frankincense and myrrh. Simply light the incense before the start of your ritual. Incense was also lit in addition to using kernips as a way of doubling up your purification while menstruating. Remember when I said menstruation generates Lyma? Well, actually, it's more complex than that. Menstruation both harnesses the forces of Lyma and the forces of purification. Not only is it your body shedding the lining of your uterus, but also purifying itself in the process. This is why the blood that comes out has lymic properties, because it is what the body does not want. It's the impurity leaving us. It should be a time of rest and breaks from formal rituals. But if you still want to perform rituals, that's when you would double up on your cleansing before proceeding. The goal of it all is to practice katharmos, which just means cleansing yourself, to reach a point of katharsis. Basically, a point of being good enough to present before the deities, a state of ritual purity. Certain things, though, require special katharmos, such as Lyma generated from death, childbirth, and any type of miasma generated period. Since you guys have to wait for part 2 to know how to cleanse in these scenarios, I highly suggest avoid dying, giving birth, and the phrase "don't worry, she's not related by blood." Hail to Themis, hail to Nemesis, and I will see you guys in part 2. Join my Discord!
Cannot stop, but you can follow me. I will extend all my love to those who are in need. The hand to hold out. I know it isn't easy, but trust in beauty. Never let it be haunting. Just look your best, and it won't be so daunting. All the haters waste your time judging and taunting, but just on them, 'cause you'll set it aside.